Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Zelda Speedruns. Today we've got the grand finals of the Breath of the Wild 90% Tournament 2022 here between Player 5 and XiaoXiaMi. I'm Star, and our comps tonight are Crazy Easy, Tao, and the Consultant. Please take it away.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to these grand finals. We've had lots of great runners over this tournament, and we are down to our final two. Pretty amazing.
Yeah, I think to no one's surprise, Player 5 is making a return to the grand finals, the same as the last couple of years. But I think what's very exciting is seeing XiaoXiaMi make it to the finals in his first year running the tournament. In fact, this was the first year where we were able to include runners from the Chinese Breath of the Wild community. So Xiao and Huiwen were two of the runners that participated, and Xiao's here in the grand finals.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing. But if you look at the start of this tournament, Xiao making it this far really isn't that a surprise. Both of these runners came in as the first and second seed, respectively. And Xiao was only knocked to the loser's bracket in the winner's bracket finals versus Player 5. So both of these, Xiao is undefeated against everyone except Player 5, and Player 5 is, of course, undefeated to make it here. So these runners have had amazing tournament campaigns.
Yeah, given that this was a double elimination tournament, our grand finals does have a unique format. So do either one of you want to run it down of what format are these two runners competing against each other at tonight?
Sure. So it's a best of 5. And so basically, if the participant from the loser's bracket wins, it's going to be a reset of the bracket. And so there's going to be another best of 5 against Player 5 from Xiao. But if Player 5 wins, then there's no reset of the bracket, and Player 5 wins the tournament.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so it sounds like Player 5 has a small advantage for being the runner to enter the grand finals undefeated. And yeah, so we got a best of 5 at least, and potentially more. So why don't we get our runners started, and then we'll take it from there.
Yeah, we got a lot of Breath of the Wild here tonight. Minimum 3 matches, up to 10. That would be quite a marathon, but we hope you'll stick around for all of it and see the exciting conclusion to this great year of running.
Do you think it'll be as good as Player 5's 50, 90% runs in a row?
I hope we're not here for that long.
Yeah, I hope it's not that long. But I think you strike on a good point, which is just how amazingly consistent both these runners are. Consistency really is the name of the game when it comes to these races, because you don't get to just, unlike a PB attempt where a little thing goes wrong and you just reset. These runners just have to push through, and yet they're still posting amazingly fast times. And so Player 5 has been the king of that recently, but Xiao has been no less impressive on the consistency, as demonstrated by, both of them being the first and second seed. They had to put up, consistently fast races in qualifiers and then sustain it the whole way through.
Yeah, and I think Player 5 doesn't need much introduction. He's been on the GDQ stage recently. He's been featured in a lot of media. I think for people who aren't that deep in our community, he's pretty well known. But just for everyone else, Xiao, third in any percent. Right, fourth in all dungeons, second in all shrines, former all shrines world record holder. So Xiao's pretty top tier runner on his own.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's amazing to see, but both these runners really span not just any percent, but even longer categories, extending all the way up to all shrines, which, 4.5 hours, basically 9 times as long as any percent. So just really good Breath of the Wild players and good fundamentals that translate to runs of all lengths.
Yeah, it's funny. There are a lot of players that main only any percent, but these players definitely are very well-rounded. And so hopefully, obviously that does translate to their gameplay in any percents. Yeah.
All right, so we've clipped out of the Shrine of Resurrection. We're gonna go and complete Plateau. What do you guys think are kind of keys to playing Plateau in a race setting?
At this level, these runners are going to do pretty much all the fastest strats on Plateau. We did just see them pick up some backup peppers, which is not something they do in a PB, but only costs like 3 seconds and can save you if anything goes wrong. But they're going to go for all the fastest wind bombs in the shrines and everything. And so I think that will be the place I would look for the biggest separation in Plateau, is those wind bombs inside the shrines, because some of them are quite hard. And even at this level, they can't hit them all the time.
Yeah, I mean, I think at this level, you're not going to be seeing like a lot of mistakes with BLSSs, although it can occasionally happen. But yeah, the biggest failure points are definitely, I think player 5 even says himself, like the hardest parts of this run are like the beginning parts, the gamer wind bomb and the canal wind bomb.
Definitely. So, just a little bit, we might have some viewers in here who are less familiar with Breath of the Wild speedruns. Here you're seeing the Bowlift Smuggle Slide, or BLSS. This trick was discovered a little over a year ago now, and it has really completely transformed how we do these Breath of the Wild runs. It's just such a powerful glitch. You can perform it as soon as you have a bow and a shield, and as long as you have access to an object you can pick up, and it allows you to travel at great speed as far as you need to go without using any stamina and without losing any height.
Yeah. And there's a lot of glitches that are kind of happening just in quick succession for those who are less acquainted with Breath of the Wild speedruns. Like, for instance, to get into the shrine, since they didn't activate the tower, they needed to do a shield clip. By getting skew on a slope surface, by shield surfing on a slope surface, they're able to get a state called skew, which enables them to clip through walls. And here we're watching them both do the gamer wind bomb and both not making it to the monk. Again, this is hard wind bomb.
I was noting that Pyro in chat was mentioning how synced up they were, and I was about to mention that, well, the first point of significant separation could come if one player hit gamer wind bomb and the other didn't, but they both missed it. Both did the backup, and they are still synced coming out of the first shrine.
Yeah, just a little bit about why Gamer Wind Bomb is so difficult. So first of all, they're performing a trick called a wind bomb, where you use the bombs rune to place 2 bombs and blow up the first to send the second careening into Link's back, which launches him. And they're really nice for getting some quick speed and height. But in this shrine in particular, the ceiling is very low. And so you need to hit a very precise timing on the wind bomb to get the distance, but not crash into the ceiling and be hit down before reaching the monk.
And that's going to repeat itself in the next 2 shrines too, because both the Magnesis wind bomb and the stasis wind bomb require very precise calibrating of the height and direction that you get from these wind bombs. And we just saw there that the missing the gamer wind bomb probably cost each of these runners like 7 or 8 seconds from their optimal times. Failing either the stasis wind bomb or the magnesis wind bomb coming up is much more punishing, as it probably requires a reset, and that could be 20-30 seconds of time loss.
Yeah, that's a good point. Gamer wind bomb is probably the easiest to back up. Mag is a little dependent on how poorly it goes, but the canal wind bomb can be a killer if you get it wrong. see both of our runners performing a skew clip like Consultant described. One thing to note just about the structure of this whole run is that in order to get off the Great Plateau, the game requires that you complete the 4 shrines. And so our runners are going around to all the 4 shrines, and normally to get into them, you would need to activate the tower. However, the tower comes with a lot of cutscenes that are slow, and so our runners skip them and have to clip in instead because the normal doors don't function without the tower.
Mm-hmm. And they have to stop by all the pedestals too, because you can't complete these shrines without having stopped at the pedestal first. So in Magnesis Shrine, you technically need Magnesis to move this little slab here. But later on in Stasis, like some people sometimes wonder, like, why don't they just wind bomb straight to the end and not stop at the pedestal? Well, the monk actually sends you back to the pedestal if you try to get there early.
Both of our runners staying in sync with very similar canal wind bombs.
Yeah, so I didn't see Xiao, but player 5 ate like 2 peppers and didn't get damaged at all.
We can't prove it's there, but if you ask any runner, there is such a thing as a food fall damage cancel, where you eat expecting yourself to die from fall damage, and then you don't take any fall damage because you ate. We can't prove it's there, but it exists, trust me.
Damn, I mean, I guess this is the knowledge that you have from playing the game for longer than I have, I guess. The food damage cancel.
It's just something I think everyone will experience eventually. You'll notice the pattern.
Oh.
Player 5 got to start the BLSS first, but doesn't quite hit the right angle and gets hung up on the bridge there.
Yeah, it's like the first lead swap, I would say, roughly.
Yeah.
I mean, he dealt with it well, but yeah, that's why this BLSS is so hard, to be honest. Like, I've had a lot of runs where I've just like completely flipped it. Because you got to get
definitely the hardest one when you're first learning.
Yeah, I mean, it seems like higher level runners get like very consistent at it, but yeah, you just got to get through such a tight space that you have to aim it well. So
yeah, one thing you mentioned is just how quickly he recovered. Like, that's a testament to just how well he can flick, because I feel like most of the time when you hit that and get fully stopped, you'll no longer have the speed to get up that hill. So just really nice flicking to gain that speed back, and not let it completely ruin the slide.
yeah, we're gonna see pretty much the last hard Shrine Wind Bomb here. Again, pretty precise. You have to like not hit the ceiling.
It didn't save too much time, but player 5 got a ragdoll cancel on that last wind bomb. So just to explain that, if you caught it, there are like invisible walls on the sides of the stairs going up to the monk cage, and if Link's character model gets caught on them, sometimes the game just says the game doesn't know what to do, and so just like puts Link upright instead of having him ragdoll and roll around for a lot. IL runners really like that and try to go for it, or hope to go for it in their world record runs. It's always like a nice little like 1 second time save when you get it.
Yeah, and that there was the only use of stasis in this run, I think. Used to be used a lot more before BLSS was found, but now just used on a rock.
Yeah, for the longest time that was sort of the best way to move around, was to stasis things and hit them and launch Link riding them. But and it still makes sense to do right there, which is nice. But as consultant mentioned, like most of these runes outside of bombs, we don't have much use for.
So a bit of quick thinking there from Xiao. I don't think that route was intentional. He got caught on the rocks on that BLSS, which put him a long distance away from the Cryonis Shrine, and he ran through the fire and grabbed the whatever meat was cooking there as kind of a backup, because the runners do take cold damage while they're in this area, and the shield clip into this shrine is a little bit tricky. So Xiao was thinking, if it takes me a second or third try to get in, I'm going to need some extra food. And so he grabbed that, but didn't need it. Got the ESC on the first try.
Yeah, it's worth noting that you every wind bomb takes a heart of damage, and so the runners need to ensure that they clip into the shrine with at least a heart and a half worth of health, so that they can do this wind bomb. Yeah. This is probably the most punishing one if you can't do it, but it's also the easiest.
So Xiao there fumbled with the menu a little bit, but also gained some time by having a much nicer bounce off the wall that landed him closer to the front of the monk cage.
And with that, both of our runners have completed the 4 shrines on the Great Plateau, and they get a cryptic message that they need to go to the spot on the map where the shrines form an X and cross. It is, of course, the Temple of Time that's been sitting there in your view the whole time. So that's where they'll be heading.
All right, so the thing to watch out for here is how much momentum the runners can get off this step up on this BLSS. That's a bit of a time save. And also, they're going to be trying to throw away the spear and shield jump into the cutscene to enter as fast as possible.
Yeah, one thing we didn't even mention, we don't have the paraglider yet, and so the runners have to do a fall damage cancel in order to survive these long distances that they're dropping. It's pretty subtle because they do it so fast, but if you start throwing a weapon and then cancel it by unequipping or equipping another piece of equipment, the game cancels the throw and it resets the height it considers Link to be falling from. And so if you perform it close enough to the ground, the game thinks, oh, Link fell a tiny distance, and it doesn't damage you.
Oh, interesting. It's been a while since I tuned into any percent, so I didn't realize that runners had moved their step up spot for this BLSS to this tower over here.
Yeah, I actually first saw this on the first matchup between Player 5 and Xiao. There's a couple of different spots that you can step up from. Our runners are flying over to a spot where there are some razor shrooms, and there is a way to do it right out of the window that they first jumped out of, but it's kind of tricky, and it occasionally will just sort of fail because Link doesn't get enough speed going out of the window, and so jumping out of there probably loses a little bit of time, but it's much more consistent, and so definitely worth it. Player 5 being harassed by the choo-choos.
Yeah, is there a lot of time lost by not being able to use the rock for the step up if the choo-choos appear, or not really?
Just from the look of that there, I would estimate that was about like 5 or 6 seconds of just running to the other step up spot to avoid the chews. And the chews are RNG spawns there.
Really, 5 to 6 seconds? I didn't even think it would be that much. Yeah, Trevor says it's about a second in the chat, but yeah, who knows?
Well,
definitely would rather not to have the chews show up.
Yeah.
They are nothing but gonna slow you down.
Yeah.
Interesting to see both our runners hit the pillar there.
unloaded gate for both of them. So something to note about any percent is that there's definitely an RNG element, or I guess it's not really RNG, but it kind of feels like it's RNG, just what the game decides to load and what the game decides to not load.
Mhm.
And you really hope it decides not to load the gate for the part of the castle you want to go in, because that saves a bunch of time. It means you don't have to do an extended shield clip to get into the castle.
Yeah.
Interesting to see both of the runners go and pick up that 5th Razor Shroom. That is not strictly necessary. But I wonder if they're picking it up anyways because it will give them more time on their attack up, and neither of them have any food left. Or I guess maybe Xiao does because of the meat.
Yeah, but it's probably already routed in beforehand. This does allow them to more safely eat the attack up meal in Zelda's room, and sort of like buffer the load of Zelda's room while they're in the menu to eat the food and be able to complete all the things they need to do in Zelda's room before entering second. Yeah, so see, player 5 there ate the food, dropped the bow there. The game continues to load while you're in the pause menu, and like sometimes Zelda's room takes forever to load, so you might as well to do something productive instead of standing around.
Yeah, though I think when they are capable of skipping those mushrooms, so it's just interesting to see that willing to take the few second detour just for that safety here.
Yeah, we've both runners eat like a 250 meal at the beginning of Zelda's room and still make it through the boss rush, which is just unbelievably fast.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely do not have the skill to do it on 4 shrooms, so...
Okay. We saw player 5 do the more classic demon setup for Windblight Skip, and Xiao setting up for the quote-unquote setup-less Windblight Skip, but sort of having a little trouble setting things up.
Yeah, we also see Xiao take a safety save there. I think that's just a play that, like, at this point, going into these fights with player 5 having a fairly solid lead, it's better to sort of take your time and So I guess that's also maybe an indication that Xiao wasn't that confident in the Windblight skip because yeah, that's unfortunate. Gonna have to try again on that one.
Yeah, and he can't just fight Windblight, by the way, because the durability is very tightly routed on your weapons. In Breath of the Wild, weapons break after you use them too much. So, if he had to use his weapons on Windblight, he wouldn't have enough durability remaining to beat the rest of the bosses in the game.
Yeah, the weapons are very tightly routed, and there's only a tiny bit of leeway when things go wrong to use them. Player 5 now definitely has a decisive lead, but this run is not over at all. These bosses are still quite difficult, even at the highest level, and if you die to them, the time loss is in the 3 to 5 minutes range. And so player 5, if he plays cleanly and gets through the whole thing, will definitely win, but that's not a given just yet.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, at this level, there's not a lot of small mistakes that player 5 can make that would allow Xiao to make up even this much of a difference. There's some RNG elements, for example, like not getting like the fast fire blight cycle. But other than that, yeah, this is sort of if Xiao plays cleanly and player 5 plays cleanly, then player 5 is gonna go into Dark Beast first.
Yeah. I also saw a question about if these runners are watching each other. They are allowed to be watching each other. We have no limitations on that. But whether or not they are is totally up to runners' choice. Some of the runners like to know where their opponent is at. Others would rather just run their own race and not have to worry about what their opponent is up to.
Yeah. They will know through race time when the other runner has finished, even if they are not watching.
Back in my day, we had SRC.
So, Calamity Phase 1, the boss fight where you are rewarded for playing really well and really fast. Because if either of these runners gets a fast time on Phase 1, they will get the best result coming into Phase 2, which is Ganon giving an instant laser.
Yeah, there's a little bit of RNG with the attacks that Ganon can give you, but if these runners play cleanly, it can be pretty predictable, and you don't really give Ganon any time to make a annoying decision.
Okay,
That was not the most optimal pattern there. He did throw out an attack before the laser, but player 5 deals with it easily.
Yeah, but it was a really clean phase 1 from player 5, like super clean. Something to note is that in phase 1, you have to hit a certain amount of headshots with the bomb arrows. I think you can only miss like 3 or 4. You can do a last hit with the boomerang, but yeah, 3 or 4 basically, and he hit all of them. And then if you noticed here, he was putting Calamity in a stun lock. That's an interesting aspect of Calamity Ganon Phase 2, is that you can just repeatedly stun him so that he can't get back up and get his shield on again.
Interestingly enough, the community does not consider that stun lock a glitch. It is allowed in bug limit, and part of the reasoning is that the developers explicitly patched it in master mode. So we now consider it like an intended part of normal mode because it's not possible in master mode.
Well, it's not patched in normal mode, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
They decided to patch it in master mode but left it in for normal, which is why we don't consider it a glitch and allow it in the bug limit categories.
Well, I'm gonna run my own version of bug limit that doesn't allow it. How about that?
Enjoy shield parrying. That's what master mode does. Like, it is possible.
Doesn't master mode, do skew bounce or something? And yeah, they eat like endurance food.
Oh, that's possible. I actually haven't seen the most recent master mode. I know they used to have to parry every time he did a body slam.
And I think they depend on having like a 5-shot bow, I believe. So they have to get that dropped from the Lionel in Plateau, or else they reset. And it's like a 20% chance of getting it. So.
Yeah, I mean, speaking of, the community recently split off Master Mode into its own subcategory. For a long time, Normal Mode and Master Mode were listed together on the same leaderboard. And earlier in 2022, I think we split them off, considering that the routes had diverged fairly significantly. Player 5 also holds the world record in Master Mode any percent. Xiao is number 3.
Yeah, very accomplished in all of the different variations of any percent. As player 5 is about to take the first match here. GG's.
Yeah, very clean. Can't think of that many mistakes, to be honest. Very clean.
I agree. really from both runners, right? Like they both missed a gamer win bomb. They both had a scare on Canal, though it didn't end up losing them significant time. Player 5 had the little mistake on the BLSS over to the stasis tree win bomb, but managed to recover from that pretty easily. Player 5 sort of retook the lead with a cleaner BLSS to cryo, and then both of them played cleanly up until Xiao had issues with wind blight skip. So both these runners run a very solid race, and yeah, just a few minor things that really put player 5 in the lead.
Yeah, like I remember I was like trying to think of like what, like I think player 5 at the very beginning was like 2 or 3 seconds ahead. I was like, what is putting player 5 ahead? I was like, wiggle speed on BLSS. Like I'm not.
At this level, every tiny difference matters. GG's to Xiao. And we will, I presume, get into our second match here pretty quickly.
Mm-hmm.
For those of you who didn't catch it at the beginning, this is a best of 5 in a double elimination tournament. So that was the first round. Player 5 now has a 1-0 advantage in the first best of 5. If Xiao wins this best of 5, there will be a bracket reset, and with a second best of 5, which is winner takes all.
Yeah, I'm hoping Xiao can make it a good match. I'm hoping that, yeah, he can put in some work and make it interesting. But I don't know, with the way player 5's playing, it's looking rough. You know, like every mistake is so costly. You know.
Yeah, definitely player 5 doesn't leave a lot of margin for error, but if anyone could do it this tournament, it's Xiao, so excited to see what he brings in these coming matches.
Yeah. Yeah, maybe he'll go for demon setup for Windblight's skip this time.
I think that is an interesting strategic decision, because I think player 5 in his PB attempts does go for sort of the newer setupless setup, but in this case went for demons. So I see that's sort of a deliberate choice to play a little safer in a race setting. So it'd be interesting to see if that's part of Xiao's normal game plan, or if he went for it thinking he needed to save an extra few seconds in order to catch up. All of those little choices and whether the runners change strategies, that's kind of what we'll be looking for in race 2.
Yeah, and that also sort of plays into the different philosophies on whether or not you want to be watching your opponent, because that's definitely one of those tricks that I think in general runners don't want to change up their strategies based on where they are in the match. But in the case of some of those like small time save, higher risk strategies, being able to see if you're ahead or behind could help influence that decision.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, maybe it was a case of he knew he was behind and he was just kind of YOLOing it, you know? Yeah. But yeah, I mean, it all just depends on how you're feeling as well. You know, I've seen player 5 not do gamer win bomb sometimes in runs just because he was like, yeah, I'm not hitting it, so I'm just gonna do the normal win bomb in bomb shrine. So
What would you estimate, like, for the top runners? What is their success rate at Gamer Win Bomb?
oof.
That's a good question. I think it's a very streaky trick, which makes that a little hard to estimate. It's not like, oh, you know, every other run gets gamer win bomb or something. It tends to be one of these things where they're either like hitting it a lot or really struggling. feel like maybe they've gotten to a point where it's like a 60% on average all the time trick. I don't know. That's just a guess.
Yeah, I was gonna say around 50. It's not a trick that like I think has been mastered to the point where runners can get out of the bomb split on their PB attempts pretty consistently. I think watching any percent runners, there's a lot of resetting in bombs shrine to failed gamer win bombs.
Definitely. I mean, I think honestly, just sort of the nature of a first split is that it's going to have some of the highest scrutiny of any split you do because
Right.
you want to start well, and so that in of itself, we look at SOR clip here, which we didn't even really mention last run, but like in these race settings, the runners just need to get out, and so they'll spend as long doing it as possible. But at the level of these two runners, you do a PB attempt and like both of them sitting there for a few seconds, they might not accept that as the start of their run.
Right.
Oh no, I've cursed Xiao. I'm so sorry. Xiao getting a little stuck there.
Yeah, it's a very finicky trick SOR clip. Link is like in a constant running state against the wall on a sloped wall. So it's very difficult to normalize his position, which probably contributes to the inconsistency of the trick even for many top runners.
Yeah. Both our runners getting their peppers again, as well as the trusty pot lid, most broken item in the game, and spear just because they need a weapon for the fall damage cancel.
Yeah, I think pretty much every Breath of the Wild category takes this pot lid to like as far as it could possibly go.
Seriously, I mean, right, the shields are so integral to pretty much all the tricks that we do, and it's just the fastest one to grab, so yeah.
Yeah, I guess you need it for BOSS and you need it for skew clips, but you don't need it for wind bombs.
That's true. Yeah, I guess the shield and the bow are both very broken in their own ways.
Right.
And sometimes working together. We don't really see any BTBs anymore, but back when BTBs were all the rage, you needed both a shield and a bow for that as well.
And they didn't do the scope clip through Temple of Time. What a shame.
But not exactly a surprise, given that skew clip is the default way to go for it. All right. Both these runners get their redemption shot at Gamer Wimbomb. Xiao is really going to want to hit this one here because SOR did set him back a good couple of seconds. And so going to need to find ways to make that up.
Does anyone know why they call it Gamer Wind Bomb? Is it because it's only for real gamers?
Yeah, I mean, I think back in the day, it was much more of a swag strat. Back when Breath of the Wild was less optimized, it like didn't make that much sense to go for. It also used to be that Bomb Shrine was not the first shrine. It used to be actually the fourth and final shrine. And at that point in your run, it's a lot more punishing to go for one of these high-risk wind bombs. And so it was a real gamer strat to do this risky move, 12 minutes into your run.
Right. And it looks like Xiao has hit it. So he's ahead of player 5.
Nicely done.
Yeah.
Yeah, there are a number of things that even just a couple of years ago were considered by the community to be unnecessary risks that are now just the default tricks that you think about. one big one later in Plateau is the ESC into Cryona Shrine. Crazy, I'm sure you remember like really long threads debating whether or not ESC was worth it. And now it's just everyone does it, and no one, everyone takes it for granted at this point.
Yeah, I think it's still probably accepted that it's not what we would most encourage new runners to do, which is what I think people still agree with that, and that would be the biggest thing that people in the old threads would be like, oh yeah, no, you shouldn't be. If you're having to ask, should I be doing ESC, the answer is no. But I agree that like that is definitely the default trick now. And we'd probably still say, yeah, when you're first learning, learn the non-ESC way, but it is definitely an accepted way to try and save 7 seconds on your run now.
I feel like I never got good at the normal way of doing it, and just like I was having trouble with the normal way of doing it, and Chogus came onto my stream and was like, "Why don't you just try ESC?" I was like, "Is it hard? I thought it was supposed to be hard," and then I tried. I was like, "Oh, it's not too bad." So,
As
but
people
don't
get better and better at the game, we shift what we consider to be hard.
Yeah, don't follow my example.
So yeah, both of our runners very synced up now. Xiao just with the ever so slight lead. But yeah, the difference that going for some of these high risk, high reward strats, and Xiao managed to turn around on Gamer Wind Bomb. And next up we have Canal. Oh, player 5 landing on the wrong side of the door, but survived due to eating peppers. And Xiao also had a bad landing spot, but again, taking those peppers helps survive the fall damage.
Yeah, in a normal run, that would be a reset.
Yeah, right. In a PB attempt, both of these runners would not have the peppers available to save them there. It's worth noting that Breath of the Wild has one-shot protection. So as long as you're on full health and you would take damage that is less than twice of your health, the game will let you live and survive on a quarter of a heart. And so both of our runners could eat up to full health there on after that wind bomb and feel fairly certain that they wouldn't die.
Player 5 doesn't run into the side of the bridge here and gets a clean BLSS up the hill.
Pretty amazing how clean that slide was, because despite Xiao having the better inside to mag, player 5's now taking the lead.
Yeah.
This is a really small thing that you might not notice, but just seeing the difference sometimes in input speed between the two runners. The fast way to pick up the bomb there after you come out of the BLSS right underneath the tree is to crouch and pick it up. And sometimes it's hard to see when a runner does it, because as player 5 was doing it, it looks almost instant. But Xiao, you kind of saw Link go into the crouch animation and pick up the bomb.
Yeah, it's just ever so slightly faster because I think it saves this animation of Link sort of like putting away the weapon and picking up the bomb and sort of standing up straight with it. You just sort of instantly go from crouch down to right up with the bomb.
By the way, I think we haven't mentioned, like, if you're watching, the players are always doing a shield flip and unequip right before they do any of these wind bombs. Ooh, Xiao's stasis wind bomb goes off to the side. And that is to reset our ragdoll glitch, which would otherwise prevent the wind bomb from being successful.
Oh, Xiao opting to run inside because he doesn't have any food left after having eaten it in mag. So Yeah, that's unfortunately quite punishing. And yeah, his luck ran out on these in-shrine wind bombs.
Yeah, I mean, now Xiao really needs player 5 to make some sort of mistake for him to get back into this game. Yeah, I mean, if both runners play perfectly, yeah, player 5 takes it, right?
Yeah, though I think there's enough run remaining where some of those little random few second time losses could be the difference. But I agree that it's definitely player 5 is in control, and Xiao's gonna have to have some really clean play to catch up.
Yeah,
Yeah, I mean,
just to give a
maybe,
sense
yeah.
of
Mhm.
just to give a sense of how challenging.
Alright, sorry about that, chat. The bot decided to quit for the moment, the one we use for audio. We're back. Sorry about that.
All right, we're back in Cryonis.
You were talking about how difficult the in-shrine wind bombs are, Tao.
Yeah, it's so the timing of your the timing of your jump and circle bomb is very important. The timing of when you drop your square bomb is very important, and then the turn angle is also very important. And that turn angle is usually set using motion controls. So you're talking about a lot of muscle memory, like 3-4 different aspects of muscle memory that need to go perfectly in those tricks. And if you're just off on any one of them, the wind bomb goes off to the left or the right, and you void out. So,
Nice wind bomb there by Xiao to land up over that gate and next to the monk. Saves a little bit of running.
Yeah, one thing that could definitely happen, we were talking about kind of RNG elements that could plague either of the players is loaded gate, as I was talking about earlier in the previous game.
Yeah, it's definitely true. This is the kind of range that, like, 30 seconds or so is sort of within the realm of RNG things, allowing Xiao to get back into the run, even without player 5 making a big mistake. Ooh, a little scary there on the fall damage cancel.
Yeah.
I would also say like a small benefit to the shield jump that player 5 does right there after the fall damage cancel is that it does ensure that your skew is completely clear. So that if he does run into a loaded gate and has to do ESC, he won't run into any issues of his skew from the cryo ESC interfering with the skew he needs to set for the loaded gate. So not just swag to try to get into the cutscene faster, but also has some utility there. So Xiao doesn't do that flip into the cutscene there. So it's possible that for him, Link's character model still is retaining some of the skew from cryo.
Yep, just something extra that he'll have to keep in mind should that occur.
And
one thing to notice on player 5's BLSS here is that he's looking up. This is just in an effort to try and reduce loads on the game, which, he's not fully avoiding, but if you can get as little loads as possible, it'll save some time on the slide over.
Yeah, all the unloaded stuff made possible by the fact that Breath of the Wild is an open world game, and it, like many 3D games needs to manage the number of actors and assets that are loaded in any time, just because even on a more powerful machine than the Switch, usually machines can't hold all of the 3D world's actors in memory at once. And so the game has to constantly load things load things and unload things. And we take advantage of that by going so fast that the game isn't keeping up with what it should keep loaded.
Yeah.
We did see
More-
Player 5. Oh, go for it.
More powerful game like the Switch, more powerful console like the Switch, 10 gigs of RAM, and has the same processor as as a cell phone, basically.
We did
Anyways.
see Player 5 fumble the bomb a little bit there with and I don't know if those are related, but he does get the loaded gate. So this has potentially very big implications on the run.
It's the ESC really fast though.
It was a nice backup on the ESC. I'm seeing both of our runners hit the pillar here. I'm not aware of it being a specific strat, but oh my, that's a second loaded gate. So loaded gate not being kind to our runners on this second match.
Xiao having a little difficulty finding the frame here. ESC is a normal shield clip is fairly lenient. ESC is a frame perfect trick. It's frame perfect on 30 FPS, so not like doesn't have the same isn't as strict as a frame perfect trick on a 60 FPS game, but still, if your muscle memory is not there, you can miss the frame a lot.
Yeah.
Would you say it's a harder ESC than the Cryonis ESC?
It is a bit hard. Well, I mean, I think it's definitely not one that I think our runners have practiced as much as Cryo ESC. So that confounds whether or not it's easier or harder. I know that perhaps for the loaded gate ESC, there are not as good or agreed upon visual cues for how to set skew, how to do the clip and things like that.
Yeah, it's also just worth noting that, like, because, in a setting where these runners are going for PB attempts, getting a loaded gate would pretty much be the end of a PB attempt, and so there's just not the same level of effort put into, figuring out a backup that there is into a trick that is a part of every run. See Xiao shoot an extra arrow there. A small optimization that these runners use is that if they enter the boss fight with exactly 7 arrows, they will use up all their normal arrows during the blight fight, and that means that they won't have any arrows equipped, and so when they pick up the bomb arrows inside Sanctum, they will automatically be equipped for them. So Xiao just shooting the extra arrow there to ensure that he only has the expected 7.
There are a number of really tiny menuing optimizations, kind of like that. So you saw Xiao just unequip his weapon before picking up the Edge of Duality, and that allows the Edge of Duality to be auto-equipped. And we want that because the Edge of Duality is the first weapon that we're going to use on Water Blight here, which Player 5 just finished the first phase with.
Yeah, you also see them drop the bow, which means that the Royal Guard's bow will be automatically equipped, and they won't get an extra text box about learning how to swap which bow you have equipped. Xiao going for the same Windblight skip this time.
Yeah, so which is an interesting decision because if Trevor is right in chat that that setup saves 2 seconds, it's sort of negated by the fact that Xiao safety save there, since the save prompt takes just about that long. Unfortunately, misses again. Had to reload.
Yeah, Windblight Skip not being friendly to Xiao, but also that's sort of one of the trade-offs of going for the harder strat. So a little bit of explanation of the Windblight Skip. Basically, if you shoot an arrow into the Sanctum right before walking into the cutscene, the arrow will be loaded during the cutscene, and it will be right inside of Windblight's head. And so he will continually take damage while the cutscene is playing, which is why you see the violent shaking, and it'll kill him before the cutscene ends, allowing you to completely skip the fight.
Yeah, a bit odd that hitboxes and all the damage damage functions and routines are still active even during a cutscene.
Just imagine if that wasn't true, or if the cutscenes acted like a little differently, or were completely outside of the game. Like, I guess the cutscenes are generally just like replays of the game, right?
Yeah, I think
In a sense.
It varies a bit by cutscene. So like
Yeah.
there's the cutscene that we don't see at all in speedrunning, but casually one of my favorites is the tower cutscene. When you first activate it, you get to see all the towers raising all over Hyrule, and that's actually like a pre-recorded cutscene. It doesn't happen in game, but a lot of them do happen in the game, and that's why this trick works. Player 5 with the very clean blights and going into Calamity. Starts off with that flurry rush there. Definitely a bit harder to do on those small hand attacks, but yeah, small claws, but player 5 is pretty good at them anyways.
Yeah, well, it wasn't middle claw. Pray for not having middle claw. Like, I feel like if I ever do a PB attempt and I get middle claw, I'm just like, well, God didn't want me to PB today.
Well, that was interesting. Player 5 let off one ancient arrow in that sequence.
Yeah, I think just because Calamity wasn't giving him the laser yet, so he doesn't want to like wait. He's gonna keep shooting the arrows.
That's an interesting adjustment. Then I haven't seen that before.
Yeah, we did see Xiao had a little bit of a bad start to Thunderblight there. Thunderblight rose up immediately, not allowing him time to charge and break the shield. That's just RNG as far as we're aware, and it doesn't happen very often, but we'll definitely catch our runners off guard because of how infrequently it happens, and so he got shocked, but luckily the one-shot protection stopped him from dying completely, and nice quick recovery there.
Yeah, and speaking of one-shot protection, this boss rush is routed to essentially be hitless. So like a quarter heart for Xiao is essentially the same as 2.5 hearts. The one thing he has to watch out for right now is that when he's strafing and shooting Calamity with mom arrows, that he is not too close to the wall when the first laser attack comes out. Because if he's too close to the wall, the laser attack will have some fire splash damage, and that can kill him. Okay, avoids it there.
Interesting. I never knew that it was like how close you were to the wall. Happened in... Ooh, his shield broke. Ooh.
Okay. Well, Xiao was already behind with player 5 having started the Dark Beasts fight. So I think that's an unfortunate death, but I don't think it changes the outcome of this race.
Yeah, it doesn't change the outcome of this race, but that's pretty rough to potentially go into this third race down 2 games, and also sort of having not been able to finish your second one. So hopefully Xiao is able to bounce back mentally and play at his best for this third match.
Reverse 3-0 sweep?
It can definitely happen. If I'm not mistaken, Xiao's the loser bracket finals for Xiao to get to this match was not a best of 5, but Song took the first match, and Xiao bounced back, taking the next 2. So Xiao has shown the ability to be able to overcome those deficits.
Yeah, so player 5 still continuing the Dark Beast fights. He has a couple of shots left, and Star is telling us that Xiao has not officially quit out of this race on race time. So we've mentioned our runners are probably not watching each other, so player 5 is just relying on race time to relay to him what his opponent is doing.
But yeah, Xiao just probably taking a few little bit of time to just recover. GG's player 5 takes that 2-0 lead.
Both races getting a 25 roughly. Note that the race timer on ZSR is gonna be about 1 minute and 7 seconds ahead of what a speedrun timer on speedrun.com would look like, because the ZSR timer includes the intro time, whereas the speedrun.com timing doesn't include the intro and starts when you gain control of Link in the Shrine of Resurrection.
So yeah, with that, player 5 now up on a 2-0 lead. This is now entire tournament match coming up next. Player 5 will have 3 chances to try and close it out. This would also be the just a little history on this tournament. Player 5 has won the last 2 tournaments. This would be a 3rd in a row for him. And now he is by far the biggest name in Breath of the Wild speedrunning. But back when he won his first tournament in 2020, that was really the first big time, the first time he really showed up as a big name in Breath of the Wild speedrunning. He had a really long campaign back through the losers bracket after losing early on, but made it out and won the grand finals. And ever since, he's been an incredibly dominant runner in this community.
Was that first tournament like before BLSS?
Yeah. BLSS was not discovered until mid last tournament.
Right.
Yeah, last year's tournament was historic in that it started out with the BTB routes. BLSS was discovered, and the reroute and the adoption of the new plateau route happened in the middle of the tournament.
Yeah, they over the course of these last 3 tournaments, we've seen big changes to how any percent has been run. And yeah, I haven't been around in the community long enough to know, but I wouldn't be surprised if the year before that it looked different as well. But yeah, the first 2 years ago in 2020, the first year I participated in this tournament, we were doing all the BTBs, and we were doing the routes of castle that didn't get any ancient arrows. We were still relying on arrow RNG from crates and things. And so in between those two tournaments, the new castle route was discovered, and so last year's tournament was run entirely with the new Ancient Arrow castle, and then midway through, any percent went through its transformation again due to BLSS and changing the whole plateau route.
Yeah. I mean, I can't imagine. I haven't been in the community that long, but I can't imagine how it would have been with B2Bs. I assume like it was really punishing if you messed up a B2B, right? Because you'd have to reload.
Absolutely.
You have to reload, and then there would also be the BTBs where you could succeed, but not succeed optimally, and then you would still lose 20 seconds because of it.
Yeah, you'd have to like walk because you landed too far away from the shrine or something.
Well, specifically, the BTB to Magnesis had like the optimal version, which is you got an unloaded Magnesis shrine. The pretty good version where you got close to Magnesis, but the shrine was loaded, in which case you lost about 15 seconds from the optimal. And then you could get the BTB off, but land in the forest. And then with optimal backups, that was another 20-second time loss. Oh yeah, and Swiffy pointing out our frame perfect castle BTB, like you couldn't get to castle and continue your run and, unless you hit this frame perfect trick.
Yeah, the run has definitely become more consistent as a result of BLSS. It was kind of interesting back when we did so many BTBs. It was pretty classic to see like a bunch of 30-40 second swings, because that would be how long it took you to execute a BTB, realize it had gone wrong, and reload. And so it'd be like you mess up something, and now it ends up being a 40-second time loss. Whereas now, most of these time losses are fairly minor, a few seconds here and there to missing a wind bomb.
Yeah, and another aside, it was probably really interesting last year to see people pick up BLSS. I mean, we were saying that BLSS to stasis is hard for new runners. I'm assuming there was probably a lot of runners who would just, run into rocks or whatever on their way to stasis or run into trees, learning how to BLSS.
It sort of started in the tournament being only a backup to missed Castle BTB. Like you'd go for Castle BTB, and if you miss it, then you'd use the new BLSS trick to get over there. And then pretty wild to see the top runners slowly switch over to the route that you see now when we realized just how fast it was.
I have to just give a shout out to Roko, who's been a long-time runner in our community. He was the first one to break out the new plateau route in a race, kind of unannounced. And we kind of just slowly realized as we were watching that he was bringing out the new plateau route, which at that point was people were still kind of skeptical about whether or not it was faster.
Yeah, there's no room for skepticism anymore. It's pretty decisively faster. We've seen the Great Plateau world record drop by over a minute since we've introduced this new route.
But speaking of all those changes, 2022 was actually a pretty stable year for any percent. I think other than optimizations here and there, nothing drastically happened to the route. The big discovery in Breath of the Wild speedrunning was IST, which has affected every single category except for any percent.
Yeah, it's pretty interesting. It's been a huge year for Breath of the Wild speedrunning changes due to IST, but any percent has largely stayed the same just because of...
Unless you count Huiwen pulling out the IST any percent route back in qualifiers.
Mm-hmm. Xiao does get the gamer win bomb, but unfortunately it's sort of a second try, so not going to be quite the time save that getting it first try would have been. I think another big thing, we're talking about changes to any percent between last year and this year, is actually it's pretty interesting that in the finals our runners are running no amiibo. For the last 2 years, that wouldn't have been the case. Amiibo is the faster category, so it's the one that the top runners practice more. And so they didn't, for the past 2 years, no one really wanted to deal with first the RNG that was no amiibo and trying to get a banana from a crate. And then last year, we hadn't yet discovered the route with these 4 razor shrooms, and so the alternate route of getting everything in castle and also like a beetle and these things was just very different from the amiibo run. And so no one wanted to be sort of learning 2 variations of the run, and so most people were favoring amiibo. But as we discovered this razor shroom route that really is only a slight detour off of the amiibo route, now no amiibo is the favored category for these races just because it gets rid of that amiibo RNG factor.
Yeah, I remember not just a year and a half ago, we had a resource in the community of a document that had all the different castle routes, depending on whether you were amiibo, no amiibo, whether you're going for 3 ancient arrows or 6 ancient arrows, and all of that. And now we've just converged on to just a couple of routes: 3 ancient arrow and 6 ancient arrow.
Yeah, those decisions and no amiibo, like those 2 decisions can be made independently, which really means there's not much difference. Oh, okay. So player 5 missing the wind bomb here. He's going to try a pretty interesting backup that involves using the chest to give him a little extra height to jump off of to get out of this water. That's pretty wild.
Oh, I had not seen the chest backup before. I figured that the backup was a wall jump, which is incredibly hard. I understand why.
Well, it was both. He needed to wall jump there too.
Okay.
Yeah, but I think it's not possible to wall jump, or it may be incredibly hard to wall jump if you don't have the extra height from the chest.
I think you can, but it's incredibly hard. Yeah.
Trevor, so you can get over if you wall jump and then shield jump, but then that gives you ragdoll glitch.
Which will and lose you skew, presumably, which you want to save for this next shrine.
Right. Oh, okay. So that chest backup, really clever.
A lot of height there on that wind bomb for player 5. Honestly, probably slightly less optimal than he'd hope, just because he'd like to stop going far away from the shrine and be able to run there as fast as possible.
Yeah, for wind bombs, aiming due cardinal is the direction, a cardinal direction, like direct northeast, south, and west is what gains you the most height. And what I've seen top runners do is sort of really push the aim of that wind bomb like a little left of west, like a bit further left of west, to try to get like a very very quick angle to the shrine and not have to do any running. But for some reason, player 5 also got a lot of height there, in addition to getting an angle towards the shrine.
Yeah, it's a good little tip for runners who may be watching these fast runners and then struggling with that wind bomb. If you actually aim a little further right than they do, which is more cardinal, it'll make the timing on the bombs more lenient to be able to get the height necessary.
Xiao had trouble with this stasis wind bomb last time, but gets it cleanly this time.
Yeah, and so sort of trading off who had the better bombs and who had the better mag. Xiao is behind by only a few seconds.
Yeah, a quick question from the chat of why is this the 2022 any% tournament? This tournament started back in October of 2022 with the intention that it would wrap up by the end of the calendar year or shortly after the new year. But scheduling illness has kind of lengthened our tournament, and so here we are in the grand finals of the 2022 tournament.
Interesting note that there is a slightly faster strat here, but it's much less consistent. You can do, instead of a stasis launch, up to the cold area from stasis, you can do a cliff wind bomb. And then since, unless you do a super optimal BLSS, you probably won't, you'll probably take too much cold damage. You opt to do a BTB usually. So I think Power Gamer Kai does that in his plateau PB.
In her PB, yeah. But
sorry, my bad. Yeah.
Kai, I think, is the only runner crazy enough to go for it in RTA right now. So.
The fact that these runners are not going for that strat is a testament to that there are still some tricks that we consider too risky to go for in RTA settings.
Well, I think Player 5 said to me in his stream that he would start doing it after the tournament or something. I don't know. So I'm gonna hold him to that. If he doesn't do Cliff Wind Bomb in his next 90% attempts, I'm unsubbing.
Xiao very consistent with that nice landing spot for the cryo wind bomb. It's impressive.
Yeah, there's like a specific way to do the wind bomb that gets you that position, right?
Yeah, I think you want to angle it slightly so that you bounce off the wall up over the gate instead of going up over the wall.
It also requires a very early circle bomb.
Yeah, I could assume it requires such an early circle bomb that you risk the chance of it launching you too low, I'm assuming.
Yeah, it's definitely a slightly riskier wind bomb, which may be why we don't see Player 5 going for it at the moment. The standard wind bomb that you just land up top is the most lenient of these shrine wind bombs, and so just some decision on whether the few seconds of the better landing is worth it here.
Talking about a trade-off between different optimizations on that BLSS setup, you saw Player 5 jump forward before pausing and unequipping shield. So that he's moving towards the step-up spot at the same time that he is doing all of the other inputs for BLSS. Xiao doesn't do that, but Xiao does turn the camera kind of awkwardly in the opposite direction to do the setup, and that way he doesn't have to turn the camera again. So players just trading kind of their own personal preferences for little optimizations there.
And Player 5 once again finishes Plateau with a slight lead, but Xiao is not far behind. And it'll be interesting to see what we get as far as gates this time. Both of our runners getting unloaded during their first run and then loaded during their second. So
yeah, the runners getting like similar RNG last race. Both got loaded gate and both got one of the claws from Calamity first. I thought that was somewhat of a nice coincidence.
Can't complain about bad RNG if both runners get it.
Let's see if the chews are kind to player 5. Looks like they are.
Can hear them now. Oh.
It's yeah, I don't think that's the right spot. He was doing this in a last run too. He wasn't going off of what I view to be the right spot on the rock. Maybe he has another spot that works. I don't know.
Does have a pretty nice backup there. Oh, Xiao also getting the choose. But makes the immediate decision to run over. Did I just see that Xiao has Hylian shrooms? Missed when exactly he picked them up, but that is a potentially nice backup, both food-wise and could also mean that he doesn't have to pick up the razor shroom inside the castle here, because it can be added to the dish to extend some time without affecting the attack upness.
Well, I think you're getting an answer to your question about hitting the pillar, since our runners have done it in every single race. I guess that is the new strat, to use the bounce off the pillar to direct you towards the gate.
I think I saw Trevor also mention that there's maybe some superstition about loads that is unconfirmed.
Yeah,
Trick the game to thinking you're going in this direction, and then it won't load the thing in that direction.
Yeah, like I think it's the same for like the looking up at the sky thing. Like, that might be it could work to reduce loads, but it could also be a superstition.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well, I think a general. It's not like purely superstition. I think like generally in 3D games, 3D games try to save some processing power and memory on not loading things that are not on screen, right? But the exact way that Breath of the Wild does it is sort of unknown now, because the decomp project hasn't really gotten to that part of the code yet.
You did see player 5 have to eat a pepper before doing these wind bombs, just to have enough health to survive them and not have to eat food early. Both of our runners
because he
did
he took damage from the choo-choos, didn't he?
Oh, that may be exactly it. Yeah. Both of our runners did still go for that 5th mushroom. Oh, Xiao getting a slightly lower wind bomb than he needs out of bounds in castle.
Yeah,
that is going to be a reload, unfortunately.
It's interesting to note. Sorry to interrupt, but it's interesting to note the second wind bomb, out of bounds wind bomb. They both do it at different parts, I guess, or different areas.
Yeah, so a couple of things there. So after the failed wind bomb, you saw Xiao save and then reload. And the save was the hope that the game considered him grounded at this point and would reload him out of bounds. But the game did not save his coordinates on that out of bounds slope. Instead, only saved his coordinates when he was still in the hallway with a cook pot. So he had to do 2 more wind bombs, and so ate his attack food a little bit early, which sort of validates the choice to go for that 5th razor shroom, since he now has about 4 minutes heading up into Sanctum, rather than I think like the 3:10 that a 4 razor shroom meal would be.
Yeah. Also curious to see what Xiao goes for as far as Windblight skip here.
Yeah, he
looks like no deviation of strategy. So
yeah, this is his setup. It's probably the one he's practiced the most, but at the same time, he hasn't gotten it in the first 2 races. Safety save again.
Well, player 5 does have a small mistake there, misses the wake-up shot. Not a big deal, though. There is 1 extra hit left in that Claymore to be able to finish off Waterblight, but not often that he misses that shot. Xiao does manage to hit one bite skip on the first try, though. So glad that setup finally worked out for him. Player 5 knocking the bomb around. A little funky.
Yeah, wonder if he's still gonna be able to get the good phase 2 on Firefly. Looks like he is.
Yeah, it does
Wow.
manage to get the one cycle.
I think Xiao also didn't connect with a wake-up shot, at least a headshot. Yeah, needs one more.
Yeah, also done with the down one extra shot, but
Yeah, and unfortunately at this point, yeah, again, Xiao probably wants player 5 to die to Calamity or something. That's like what he's gotta hope for if he's watching the match, which hopefully we don't see, because he never hoped that on anyone. But yeah, we'll see how it goes. Hope for not middle claw too. I think it's vertical slam.
Yeah, the overhead slam.
Is that the fastest one? Which is the fastest?
Well, the claws are faster. So, like, from speed purposes, you actually want the claws.
they're also different. They're faster times to hit the flurry rush in the attack than others, because the game sort of forces the attack to finish before it lets Link actually rush forward and do the damage. So there's a bit of a like game of chicken on those flurry rushes where you want to hit them as late as possible, but obviously if you're too late then you miss.
Player 5 gets attack into laser again. Xiao just into Calamity.
Oh, gets the double hit there. Nice reaction by player 5. You want to do 2 hits before starting the spin for this stun lock, because Calamity doesn't start waking up until a certain amount of damage has been done, and you only have so much stamina, so you need him to start getting up a little sooner than just starting spinning immediately. Oh, player 5 does run out of stamina here though.
Oh boy.
So this little twist. Oh, he does get a fast laser though. So
that's lucky.
Yeah.
Was there a chance he could have gone to the wall there?
I think definitely.
Yeah.
It certainly could not have said there was no way he was going to the wall. But yeah, it doesn't really get punished for the loss of stamina there, and manages to get through. Xiao just half a phase of Calamity behind. I think Xiao actually may have caught up some time during these fights. Just unfortunately a little too far behind after having to reload the castle wind bombs.
One thing I noticed from player 5's Calamity is that in the last 2 races, and I don't remember about the first, he got the Edge of Duality to break on a slam. So I don't know if he's figured out a way to get consistent hits on the Edge of Duality spin so that it breaks exactly at that point. But if he has, it's a pretty neat optimization.
Yeah, doesn't he throw the Edge of Duality during Water Blight to get its durability down?
I'm always confused about whether or not weapons lose durability when they throw and don't hit anything. But
my understanding is they don't actually, and that the main purpose of that is just to swap the weapon.
Yeah, well, the main
Oh.
purpose of that trick is to swap the weapon in its menuing, in its order. But if you throw like a damage weapon, a one that's like where you get the message that it says badly damaged, it will break when it connects with the ground, right? So, but I don't know if for like a full or a weapon with more durability, whether or not that actually costs one. So Lux in chat telling us that weapons don't take durability when thrown unless they are flashing red or they hit an enemy. So Lux, one of our community's glitch hunters, so trust their analysis of it.
And with that, we are one shot away from concluding our Breath of the Wild 2022 any percent tournament.
Player 5 is really going to throw out 3 runs that are within like 15 seconds of each other in a row.
That's just how fast and consistent he is.
And
GG.
What's funny is, like, you know, player 5 probably is thinking, oh, well, it'd be nice if these were like 24s, you know, like speedrunners are perfectionists, right? But all
GG's
of these
to player
runs,
5. Yeah, GG's to Xiao. GG's to all of our runners who participated in this year's tournament. It's been going on for many months, and we've had lots and lots of great races. GG's Xiao. Congratulations to both our runners. Well, with that, we will invite both of our runners in to conduct some interviews. We would love to get their reflections on these matches and the entire tournament. There is no prize other than being the tournament champion, which is pretty amazing. We've had, particularly this year with the inclusion of our Chinese runners, we've had really great representation of the fastest runners in Breath of the Wild speedrunning, and seen lots of great runners participate the whole way through. So, I mean, we already knew player 5 was the best, but just reaffirmation of that, pretty amazing. GG's player 5, GG's Xiao. Congratulations on some amazing matches and an amazing tournament.
yeah. So to start off with, player 5, how does it feel to have won this tournament? And I guess, yeah, 3 years in a row. How does it feel?
Feels pretty good. Glad I can play very consistently.
Yeah, it's been amazing. How did you feel about your runs today?
I felt pretty good. I wasn't sure how I was gonna play because I've been doing a bunch of all shrines, but honestly, I could I could definitely PB if I keep doing no amiibo attempts.
Very nice.
Yeah. Especially if you start doing Cliff Wind Bomb, right?
No, if I did Cliff Wind Bomb, I would not PB.
Well, congratulations to Xiao on an amazing tournament and second place. How did you feel about your runs today?
谢谢。
对，就恭喜你第2名得到亚军，你今天感觉怎么样？
今天感觉表现得很不错，我自我感觉很良好。
Yeah, he feels very good about himself today. Yeah, pretty cool.
That's amazing. Congratulations on a second place finish, particularly in your first year in the tournament. We're very happy to have you.
对，再次恭喜你是得到了第2名，尤其是今年是你第1年参加嘛。对，表现非常好。
感谢。
哎呀 ，Thank you.
Guess I'll ask both our runners now, reflecting on the tournament as a whole. Any sort of particular highlights that stand out, either from these matches or any of the previous matches that you participated in? Here we can start with Xiao first.
对，就是你有什么特别想强调的高光点，或者是不仅是这场比赛，或者之前所有的比赛都可以，想说的都可以分享。
这一场比赛嘛，是我这次比赛就是3局里面台地应该是这次比赛表现的最好的3次啊，比赛中的3次。然后呢，今天的这个秒分呢是我的一个遗憾，秒分咒是我的一个遗憾。整体的话，就是包括之前的比赛的话，之前比赛的高光点的话，我觉得我的怎么说呢？我觉得我的这个城堡盖农打的现在还可以。
Yeah, so like for this today's 3 games, and he thinks he made great plateau this time. So and also for like the previous the pity is like the wind blast skip, right? Yeah, that's not good. And another thing to mention is like for the whole races for this whole journey, he think his final guide fight is very good. Yeah, he is satisfied with that.
Great. Player 5, any real highlights from this tournament?
I think the one of the games I played against Koroks, I believe I got like a 24-11 or 12 or something. So I was pretty proud of that. It's a very solid time, especially in a race.
Amazing time to put up in a race. Yeah.
But yeah, I think that would be the highlight for me.
Amazing. And with the any percent tournament now at a close, do you guys plan to continue running any percent, or is there another category or another game you are planning to pick up next? We can start with Xiao.
对，就是我们的爱妮锦标赛就是尾声了，结束了。那你接下来会继续打爱妮呢，还是我们换一个类别去跑速通，还是或换一个游戏？
不会换游戏，期待王国之内出来吧。也不会换项目是会换，但是会2个一起打。A 你的目标还没有达成，然后呢，主要是打全神庙。
Yeah, okay. He won't change game but he is very waiting for the second Zelda the TOTK, and he will also like play both any percent and all shrines both categories, and mainly AIs he thinks, and he also has his any percent goal haven't finished, so he will go both. Yeah.
Very nice. Player 5, what do you have planned next?
I will be doing a lot of all shrines, and I don't know if I'll do more any percent. I haven't decided, but I'll definitely be focusing on all shrines.
Very nice. That'll be both of you. We get to watch you duke it out on the leaderboard. Any other questions, consultant?
No, I think I'm good. Yeah. Great seeing you guys play, and overall, has been really great getting involved in this community. It's been really welcoming, and enjoyed it thus far.
That's been great. How about either of our runners? Anything else you want to say before we sign off here?
就是最后还有
Oh wait, go ahead.
sorry 哎呀，就是最后还有什么想说的吗？对 I just translate for him
然后就是再次恭喜5啊赢得这次比赛，然后呢也感谢佩尔还有大家啊一起举办的这场比赛，我带来的很多的收益啊，对速通的收益，还有这个知识让我在速通路上更进了一步，感谢大家。
Yeah, he says congratulations to player 5 and also says thanks to the peer and everyone to make this race happen. And he also very enjoyed this race and then learned a lot for the speed run. Thank you all. Yeah.
Thank you for participating, Xiao.
Yeah, so I would say GG Xiao. And thank you everybody who was involved in the tournament. It's always fun. I enjoyed last 3 of them. Hopefully the next one can finish a little sooner, but we'll see.
Yeah, I mean, I might join the next tournament. You better be afraid. I might improve my any percent PB by 5 minutes.
We look forward to it next year. Yeah.
Or not. Probably not.
Yeah, well, thank you to both our runners. GG's to Xiao as our runners up, and player 5 as our any percent grand champion. And big shout out to all the people who made this tournament possible. All 30 of our runners who participated in the bracket. Shout out to Pierre for being the main person running the whole tournament. Shout out to all of our restreamers for making sure that our matches could get shown here on ZSR. Shout out to my fellow comms and all of the matches that they helped to commentate and enhance the viewing experience for everyone, whether they run or not. And it's just been a pleasure. I always love this event happening every year, and look forward to whatever the next iteration looks like.
All right. Yep. Thank you all. So congratulations to player 5 for winning the tournament, and GG's also to Xiao here. 恭喜你第2名，你玩得很好，然后希望我们能明年接着看你回来接着玩这个比赛。GG's to Xiao for 2nd place. We do hope we see him and player 5 back next year for more races. Thank you to our 2 commentators here and to our runners. Please do give them all a follow on Twitch, as you can see there in the chat. Thank you all to all the commentators, restreamers, to Sertip here, the tournament organizer, and everyone else who helped out with the races, and to watch in the chat. Thank you all. It's been an excellent tournament, great fun to watch, great fun to restream. Hope you all enjoyed it. But this will be the end of the tournament here for this player 5 taking the tournament for the 3rd year in a row. Xiao putting up an excellent show as runner-up. But this is not it here for ZSR, however. We will be back with more races coming up throughout the weekend and forthcoming. Tomorrow we'll be starting the day off at 9 a.m. Eastern with the Ocarina of Time Randomizer E weekly race. Then we also have 9 Eastern, the Ocarina of Time Randomizer Losers Round 3 match between Nairna and Kolo. We've got a Nishcap Randomizer weekly race, a couple more OTR matches, and a Link to the Past Randomizer Spoiler Tournament race as well. If you want more Zelda action, please do also. If you want to learn more about worthwhile speedrunning and get into the racing running yourself, please go join the Discord there in the chat. Right now, however, that shall be it for us. We will be reading on over to Zelda Speedruns 2. They are 2 hours and 42 minutes into a Majora's Mask Randomizer Mystery Tournament Season 1 semifinals here between Revan and Pixel Shake. So we'll see how they're going. Thank you for watching, all. Thanks for a great tournament, and we will see you all another time.
Thank you. Bye.
Thanks, guys.